I'm just going to interrupt you there because we're getting the declaration from Ashfield. Lee Anderson, who was Conservative and defected to Reform, will he hold his seat? Let's listen in.
I give notice that the number of votes recorded for each candidate at this election is as follows. Lee Anderson, Reform UK, 17,062. The Green Party, 1,100. Daniel Holmes, Liberal Democrats, 619. Ria Keane, Labour Party, 11,553. Debbie Solomon, the Conservative Party candidate, 3,271.
Well done, Debbie.
Jason Zadrosny, the Ashfield Independent, putting people before politics, 6,276. The number of ballot papers rejected.
So Lee Anderson becomes the first Reform MP of the night. He, of course, defected to Reform from the Conservatives. His majority there, 5,509, and again, a relatively low turnout. But the Conservatives and an ex-Brexit Party representative there, beaten into 4th place, and Labour into 2nd place. So that Reform's first MP and first victory tonight. We're going to hear Lee Anderson now.
Thank you. First of all, just a massive thank you to all the staff that's been here tonight helping. They worked incredibly hard, and all the people that's worked throughout this election campaign. Special thanks to the Ashfield District Council. But the biggest thanks of the night goes to my wonderful team over there who have stood by my side and watched me being grumpy over the past 6 weeks. They've been fantastic, and I could not have done it without them. I stood in this town, my hometown, 4.5 years ago, as a Conservative candidate and won. And I won comfortably, and the people of Ashfield backed me, and they now back me again as the Reform candidate for Ashfield. I said a few weeks back that there was going to be a reckoning on election night, and Ashfield, which is the capital of common sense, they are part of that reckoning. Now, this wonderful place which I call my home is going to have a massive say in how this country is shaped in the future. I want my country back, and Ashfield can play their part in that. Thank you.
So, Lee Anderson, the first MP for the Reform UK tonight and ever. Lee Anderson there, as I say, started out as a local councillor there in Ashfield, went to the Conservatives, became an independent, now he's Reform. Chris?
Well, it's the first on the board, isn't it, for Reform UK, and perhaps the first one that they would have looked to tonight, irrespective of the exit poll of a few hours ago, to see if their first MP, courtesy of a defection, could win on his own ticket, on a Reform UK ticket, and there he has, and done so with a reasonable margin of victory. Conservative vote there absolutely tiny, really, reduced to what was it, about 3,000. And yeah, that first bit of evidence that Reform are going to have a presence in the next Parliament. There's one or two other seats where we might have expected, on the basis of the exit poll, for them to perhaps do a little bit better than they did, but. They are going to be there. Lee Anderson is going to be there and making Reform's presence felt. It'd be interesting to see how many colleagues he has alongside him by the morning. And we're just seeing pictures of Clacton in the bottom right corner of your screen. The reason we're showing those scenes there in Clacton is not just that's because where Nigel Farage hopes himself to win an MP seat, which he's tried to do 7 times previously. He's trying to do it tonight as the leader of Reform UK, but we expect he might come out of that restaurant any moment now. So we are trying to see through the glass. I'm sure our teams on the ground have got some kind of tip-off that he is there. So if we manage to catch a glimpse of Nigel Farage, that would be in the next few minutes on those pictures. That's what election night's all about, aren't they? Poking cameras through restaurant windows at 2 in the morning. And the restaurant's open. Well, maybe it's next to the count and they've decided to cash in because election counts are busy and exciting places. Right. But we're just watching those pictures where we might see a glimpse of Nigel Farage. But in terms, though, Chris, of Reform, so Lee Anderson became a Reform MP because of a defection. He's now shown significantly that he can win a seat in and of his own right. We'll remind people that our exit poll projected 13 seats. Yeah.
John Curtis has given us a bucket of salt on that. We must remind
Indeed.
people that could change very significantly. And yet, there's no question from some of the actual results we've seen so far, they are making a big dent in things.
Yes, and so they will be able to make, irrespective of their number of seats in the House of Commons by breakfast time, a moral case that they are making an imprint in British politics and therefore should be part of the conversation that follows. How noisy that conversation will depend on the number of seats that they manage to win. But given the number of second places, we've seen them ratchet up in the northeast of England, the expectation that they will advance beyond the seat that we've just seen declared there for Lee Anderson, they're going to be part of this conversation, aren't they? A conversation particularly on the right about how the right in its breadth, Conservatives, Reform and others, shapes up as a series of opposition voices to a Labour government. And the precise complexion of that will be fascinating once we get some further results. Just